Canada, right? But before we get into all of that, all right, everybody. LinkedIn Live. This is a special edition. I am so fortunate to be with my friends Miriam and Shidi. We know each other, as I was saying earlier before we got into this live. Separately, we met each other, and then come to find out that collectively, we are a group of people that have been talking, and we'll get into a lot of the backstories here as we progress. But tonight, I want to highlight their event coming up in September, a very powerful event for women. I'm sure that some of the men can sneak in there; they wouldn't mind, right? But before we get into the event and some of the things like that, please take a moment, introduce yourself. I know you both are not foreigners to LinkedIn, to the stage, to presenting yourself. So I'll start with Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much for having us. Such a pleasure to be with you and especially to share this conversation with Shiri. We have been together before. It's the first time that we are together with Shiri added. So this is such a special event, really. I'm Miriam Silverglade. Everybody calls me Dr. Z. I am Peruvian, a Latina girl. That's how I know Shiri. We grow up together. We know each other since we were 3 years old. I am a physician. I practiced medicine for 10 years for the Navy in my country, and I came here to the US 14 years ago following the love of my life. I started from zero here, became a physician here, and besides my clinical interest and the love of helping people through medicine, I am in love with the idea of leadership education and well-being education and empower people, empower women especially, but empower people to be able to achieve their dreams and their quality of life that everybody, each of us, we deserve.
Absolutely. Shidi, welcome to the platform, the show. This is the first time actually all together, but share a little bit about you.
Thank you, Enrique. Such a pleasure to be here with you and with Miriam here as well. I was just saying, we're talking about how small is the world and how there's no 6 degrees of separation anymore. There's, I think, 1 or 2 maybe degrees of separation, because this is the power of networking, right? So my name is Shiri Gabriel, and or Coach Shiri. I'm in Toronto, Canada. As Miriam said, I'm Peruvian, and I've lived in other countries as well. I moved to Israel, and what we have in common, Enrique, I'm also a graduate of the Israeli Army, a lieutenant. Came here to Canada after my service to also fall in love with my husband of 20. We're together for 29 years. We've been married for 27 years, but we've been together for 29 years. Have 4 beautiful children. And I'm an executive coach. I work with professionals in helping them through 3 stages, as I call it, through confidence, communication, and connection. I'm very well known because of my expertise in networking. I actually come from the corporate world. I started my career in advertising and then finished it with 10 years at Coca-Cola as a marketing executive. So marketing, sales, leadership, coaching, training has always been part of me and what I do. Left the corporate world to become a consultant, to become a coach. And that's where really my love of empowering, as Miriam said, empowering people, empowering women especially, got to be brought to life. And that's really what I do today. I'm a coach, as I said. I'm also a professor. I teach at 3 different colleges. I teach marketing. I teach networking, which is part of careers. I teach communications. And my mission is really to empower or to change the lives of 500 women this year. And so last year, Miriam and I, we found each other. Well, we found each other during COVID again, really, when we started collaborating. And then last year, we expanded our love for empowering women and our love for doing retreats. And so that's how we came together, and we're partners in crime now. And we're going to talk more about what we're doing, but that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Well, wonderful background, and thank you for sharing that. Now, for those of you that don't know the symbiotic relationships here that we share across on LinkedIn, we were fortunate enough to cross our paths. I am, along with Triad Leadership Solutions, is partnered with Dr. Z on her medical profession, her offerings on the net, her web MD type of um, offering. And what I love about that relationship is that a lot of times leaders fail to see the signs, right? The signs of this thing coming called burnout, right? Burnout, and or misalignment with their physical things, right? Very bad habits as they're eating, as they're living, the hectic corporate life. You grab the sandwich, you grab the burger, you grab everything that you can to quickly, throw some nutrients in you, except there's not that many nutrients in those things. They're fillers and oftentimes very bad for you, right? And so we've partnered so that we can provide that health segment to leadership, right? And so all the leaders that I coach, if there seem to be challenges in the areas of health and the way they're practicing their healthy habits or bad habits, then that's where Dr. Z comes. And Coach Shiri, she happened to, and I remember I was looking through all of my messages, right? And the last time we spoke, a couple of years ago now, but she was trying to do something with my wife. And so networking and getting to know people and putting people in strategic positions is what we do, and all for the sake of progressing. You're talking about your event to invigorate women, to propel them to their next level. And it's inspiring to see, number one, that you guys found each other. And not only did you find each other again, but now you are co-laborers in this event that will be in Canada. So let's talk a little bit about that, Sherry, if you will, the schematics around this thing and how does a doctor fall into play into that, right? Because I know how what part she plays in my own practice.
Yes. So it's I'll start with the story of how it all came together. So I called Miriam last year, and I called her to actually be one of the speakers at this retreat that I was organizing. I didn't know what the retreat looked like. I didn't know how I was going to pull it off, but I had something, that a vision of having this retreat. And I called Miriam and I said, Miriam, I want you to be a speaker in my retreat. She's like, what retreat? I'm like, I don't know, but I want you to be a speaker. I just need you as a speaker. And so she shared with me that absolutely she would do it, but not only that she has had a dream and she would love to put together retreats because of her love of invigorating, as you said, Enrique, and I love that word, women and empowering and, really educating them around health and healthy living and everything that has to do with wellness. And so I said, thank you. I would love for you to work with me on this because it's so big. And that's how our partnership really came to life. And we have known each other since we were 3, and it's been amazing working together and putting this together. We had our first retreat in Miami, which was a blast. Not only was it successful for us, but it really was successful for everybody else. And we call ourselves the yin and the yang, like we complement each other so well. And I think that's what you were probably alluding to is,
Right.
What is it? It sounds like a joke. How does a physician and a coach come together? but that's what it is. I mean,
this goes beyond that, Shiri. Sorry to interrupt you, but to be transparent, right? This yin and yang comes from childhood, right? I was the one hiding from exercising and running from any ball, volleyball, football, whatever signal was moving, I will go and escape. And she actually was the one playing and making everyone, I'm talking about the guys, to run away from her because she was a sporty girl. So our difference is like truly come from ever. And that's the magic of what we are doing. It's like the diversity that we bring to the table.
Yeah, it's diversity, not only in experience, but absolutely in character, right? From childhood. And it's beautiful to see that. And it's beautiful, you know, I'm learning from Miriam every day. I'm sure she's learning from me. So we complement, we each other bring our set of skills that really complements each other. And so this is, I think, one of the reasons that Miami was so successful. And we were able to start to build this tribe, the tribe of You Only Better. So that's the name of our retreat, of our brand, of our community, You Only Better. And so we've built this tribe that continues to expand and it continues to grow. I mean, we just finished Miami, and the women and other women here, they were saying, okay, we want another retreat. We want to get together again, right? There is a lot of power in that. So the next retreat is here. We're bringing it to Canada. It's going to be here in Canada, September 7th to the 9th, and we're going to drop all the details later on. And we're attracting more women. Women are understanding what we're all about, and it's all about this, more than just an empowerment and learning and growing. But what we bring is it's authenticity. It's us learning from the community. So it's not the show of Miriam and Shiri. It's actually the show of all of us, where we all have something to bring. We all learn from one another and we grow together. And that's the beauty of this. We're one of many in this community. And Miriam, I'm going to pass it over to you so you can talk a little bit more about this and expand with your magic.
So I believe that what you are seeing right now in this interaction is just a sample of what happened during the retreat. You see people being authentic, perfectly imperfect, showing different colors, different flavors, and shining in the way they are. I always repeat something that I learned from Brené Brown, that is the difference between fitting and belonging. And should I continue talking? I don't see him.
Well, yeah, you could go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll try to shine by myself right now. So
you shined me right out of the whole thing. No.
So that magic of creating a space where each of the ladies that participate belong and shine by their own light. And this is, again, Shiri mentioned this so beautifully. This is not our show. This was a collaboration. Each member of the group had the opportunity to bring their experiences, to teach us. We were, yes, the leaders, if you want to call, of the activity, but we were participants like anyone else in some moments, because it was our time to see others shining and others teaching, and our time to be humble and to learn from others. Today we have psychologists, doctors, marketing people. We have different types of coaches. We have people that will be teaching martial arts and personal defense and tapping. And like, again, we see well-being, and that probably will answer your original question, why I am involved in this, right? I am an MP. Because real well-being is more than only health. The lack of disease is not equal to being healthy, and the lack of disease is not equal to have a good quality of life or have well-being. So what we are trying to change is the perspective that, well, if your cholesterol looks good and you don't have cancer or you are not in pain, so that equals you are having a good life. Not really. We want to see life and see the people that we interact with as humans, and humans have this 360 degree that Enrique, you and I mean, we have been talking about this for so long. That is so important. So if we don't provide this 360 approach, yes, health is important, you need it, but financial safety, self-care, spirituality, a community that works with you, love, good nutrition, networking,
Fun.
right? Yes, fun. Oh, and we have fun. Life will not be completed, and that's exactly you only better. Is how you achieve your better version and a next version of yourself, while you include this 360 approach where you don't have gaps in your life, but you are able to have a life where you can shine in every aspect of what you are doing and who you are really.
And I love that. Now, if you are just joining us, and I see several people on all the platforms that we're streaming onto, we're talking about the Inside Out Women's Retreat happening in Canada, September 7th through the 9th. And it's an exclusive retreat designed for women seeking clarity, renewal, and personal transformation in a supportive and inspiring environment. And it's so nice to see, as we explaining, hey, how does yin and yang work? How does the doctor and the executive get together and put this retreat on? But just as you were saying, Dr. Z, the 360 approach to everything, right? We talk about 360 approach to leadership, 360. If you don't look at everything holistically, you'll miss something that is vital. And, you know, to your point, just because you may not be physically sick, the body is not sick, doesn't mean your mind's not, doesn't mean your emotions ain't, right? Because those are two things that as a leader or as a person in corporate that really struggled with that particular thing, especially transitioning from a military setting to a civilian setting, a group of people that would die for each other and do everything in favor of another, to come back out and see that everybody's for themselves. And you're like, well, who's gonna stay and fight? Nobody. So that started to really play on my mind, which ended up playing on my emotions. And then from the emotions, everything started going haywire. So it is an opportunity at these events for those that are just joining us now to attend to the different aspects that make us who we are. And I love Sherry say martial arts. Hey, somebody's gonna come out of there with some kind of ability to, hey, if you can't, join them, you're gonna have to fight them. But
but that's life, right? And you and I have not been in the military in the way that you were, right? You guys really were active in some way. I was a doctor in the military life for more than 10 years. I here at the VA also for a long time. And you say something so important, right? If there is something that those that belong to the military group have, is community, that ability to trust in someone else and to have someone that is next to you. And this is something that we can replicate and we should replicate in that life, right? In our real life, outside without the need of using the uniform. Sadly, we are suffering from a pandemic of loneliness. We heard that from the Surgeon General. Is not only sad and it's not only inconvenient for that person that is suffering, but really increase the risk of medical conditions, and not only depression, anxiety, the risk of suicide, also in even cardiovascular disease and others. So when we talk about creating communities that support each other and creating an environment where you can be yourself, you can be vulnerable, you can trust, and you don't need, when you're vulnerable, you don't need to be weak. And I want to clarify that, right? Being vulnerable and being with a group and belonging to a group doesn't mean that you need them and you are weak. Actually, that means that you are also giving from you what you have, right? That is a double-sided relationship where you receive and you give, and giving is so important for our health and for our quality of life too. So what we are creating really is an environment where you can flourish. Nothing very sophisticated, a very evidence-based, by the way, because, well, you know me, I am very into research. I have a master in public health and epidemiology. I believe in numbers. Everything is done based on evidence. Everything is done based on what the science reflects and what is validated. But at the same time, in a very fun way, in a way that you don't know that you are learning, in a way that you don't understand that things are going inside of your brain and you are transforming from the caterpillar to a butterfly during not only the 3 days that you spend with us, but really that is just the beginning of a long-term relationship that we are creating with each of the ladies that are part of this group.
Yeah, very powerful. Now, I'll say this thing real quick, and I'll address you, Sherry. Vulnerability. Let's talk a little bit about that from the perspective of where I stand. Vulnerability is sometimes misconstrued or misinterpreted. We are all vulnerable. We are vulnerable to the person that left late and is rushing down the road. We're vulnerable to people that may not be feeling all that well. We are always vulnerable. And so when we talk about vulnerability, there is that section. And then there's the section of you opening up the gates a little to have a lot of some people peek in and get a little more insight on who you are and what makes you and things like that. But sometimes we run away from the word vulnerability, not understanding that we live in vulnerability. It's always around us. And so
it's a strength. It's not a weakness. I believe that I am stronger today than 2 or 3 years ago. And the difference is one, I am obviously vulnerable. I am openly vulnerable, and I am who I am, right? And I am in peace with that. Living your life behind a mask, and during a couple of years, we were forced to live behind a physical mask, right? Which was traumatic for all of us. But many of us, we have been living our life behind a mask that society kind of imposed us, or that we decided that was the only way for us to survive and to, again, feed. And is so dangerous for our own well-being, right? For our mental health, for our happiness. Removing that mask, and that happened to me during COVID, at the moment that I was unable to cover myself with makeup, and I was just, with looking the way I am, right? And I was so tired in general that I didn't want to fake anymore, that everything is wonderful and I am a superhero and everything is under control. That day I discovered that saying that loud inspire others to come to me, and was the moment that I started to really help people. That was the moment where I created a relationship, a deep relationship with people, a deep relationship with my mentees, with my patients, with my friends. And when I was able to really help in a deeper way, not only to prescribe, because I have been prescribing medicine all my life, but I was able to prescribe quality of life. I was able to prescribe love. I was able to prescribe things that doesn't come in a bottle, but are more powerful for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Sherry, when I was describing the event, I spoke about clarity, renewal, and personal transformation. Would you cover those three as it pertains to a person that may be interested in attending the event, and how is that going to really work out for them?
Awesome. I hear a lot when I'm talking to women, or the women in our network, who say, you know what, I really need it, or my friend really needs this. I know I need it. I know my friend needs it. And it's interesting because that really addresses the idea of clarity, because when I ask the question, well, why do you think you need it? Right? People have a hard time actually articulating that.
Right.
When I say you're looking for transformation, what kind of transformation? Same thing, right? So we're talking about clarity and transformation that is very subjective, because it really means different things to different people. And many times people cannot articulate this. So you ask me, how do we bring clarity and transformation? We know what we're bringing with us. And we know that one of the reasons why we chose the theme Inside Out, which I'm sure many people have seen the movie, right, is because Inside Out, the movie and the message, is not just about joy, right? Which is what we just talked about. It is about authenticity. It's about being okay with all the feelings that we have and who we are inside. So then to the outside world, we can be authentic. So to the outside world, we can express ourselves with clarity. So to the outside world, and for us, we can start to transform whichever way we want. And so this is why what we bring with us is a 360, because it is hard for people to know what is it exactly that they want or they're looking for. It's obviously hard for us to also guess what they want. But when we bring a 360 of different things, right, different workshops, different people from different backgrounds, then people can pick and choose. They will come out with something. They will hear a sentence, they will hear a workshop, they will do an activity to say, oh my God, that hit home. Now I'm more clear about this. You know, I can actually transform this part of my life. And so this is why we are big proponents of doing this 360 and bringing as much as we can, as much as diversity in terms of knowledge, in terms of information, and in terms of people. Because again, I'm going to go back to this. We learn from each other and from one another, because as you know, the learning and the connection really happens outside of the classroom, outside of the workshop, right? So hopefully that answers your question, but that's really what we're bringing here, and what I think women are looking for. They're looking to look for clarity and look for transformation, whatever that means to them, which many times they don't even know what that means until they actually come to these retreats, until they start to do the work. And you know, Enrique, you're a coach. You do the work, you will figure things out. Otherwise, you will never be able to answer those questions. What does clarity mean to you? What does transformation mean to you? What do you actually want to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
And big part of it starts with self-awareness, right? And that's why the concept of emotional intelligence is very solid in everything that we do. If you don't know yourself and you don't know where you are, you don't know where you want to go, and you don't know what you want to transform to. So everything starts with accepting who you are, accepting where you are, and start building from that, right? It's not to destroy who you are or to destroy what you have right now. It's to build upon what you are and what you have. So again, this you only better and achieving a better version of yourself is just to do little things here and there, really, right? So you feel more comfortable in your skin. And we need to understand something that is very important. Who we are today it's not bad or good, right? We are where we are, and we are who we are because of the life that we went through, the experience that we collected, and we cannot be the same person that we were 10 years ago, and we should not be the same person in 10 more years. We are supposed to change. Change is amazing. We need to embrace the change. We need to look for that change. Change means grow. So I heard women say, my life is okay right now. I don't need to do something like this. I am okay. And I ask myself, like, oh my goodness, maybe something is wrong with me because I am not yet okay, and okay is not enough for me. I want to be, better, and I want to get ready for my next year and my next 10 years and my next 20 years. And I want to be an example for my kids, because sometimes women, we feel, and I'm sure that happens especially to mothers, right? We feel like kind of guilty how we will leave our kids for 2 or 3 days, how we will invest money in ourselves. Oh my gosh, what type of mom will do something like that? A great mom. That's the answer. A great
Exactly.
mom that wants to take care of herself, that wants to improve, that wants to learn, that wants to be happy and healthy, and that wants to be an example for her kids and show them that we continue working hard in achieving our dreams no matter where in life we are. That you go to school when you are 5, 7, 10, university when you are 20s, and when you are 40, 50, 60, there's still a lot of things that we can learn. There are still a lot of dreams that we can dream with. So I believe that for those moms that are there asking yourself, oh, I would love to do it, but no, I am a mom. Being a mom is not an excuse. Being a mom is a reason to go, to do it, to enjoy it, to embrace it, and to show your kids that there is a value in continue growing and in loving yourself and taking care of yourself.
Yeah, very powerful. Now,
And this comes
I
from
want to
a mom of 2 kids.
I want to take the time and thank all those that are joining us across the platforms. If you're just joining us, we're talking about a special retreat that's coming up in September in Canada. You could get involved in. We'll make sure to have all the links to that event in the comments. But don't be shy. Let us know you're here. Let us know from where. And if you have questions as we're going through this segment, throw them in the comment section and we'll be sure to address those. Now, I know the event in Miami was great. This event in Canada will be even greater. But I wanted to ask you about that experience for both of you as you're watching these individuals come into the setting that you've placed. And as you go through these days, the things that you're witnessing, right? The comments and the actual physical transformations and the mindset changes. And talk to us a little bit about that from both of your perspective. Miriam, you could go.
Miriam, actually, let me start if you don't mind, because Enrique, I have a volleyball game that I have to make that I'm playing.
All right.
So, well, you know, we juggle things, right? And that's Miriam told you already about me being the sporty girl. I'm still the sporty girl. Once a sporty girl, always a sporty girl. So let me just, if you don't mind, I'll tell you about that, because and that's a great question, because again, it goes back to the transformation, right? There is something magical that happens, and this is part of why a retreat for women also is so powerful, because I really truly believe, and I've seen it over the years because I belong to different tribes. I've always belonged to women's tribes, and it is actually a tribe. If you go back to, I don't know, 10,000 years back, there have been tribes, and women really, they shine in tribes, because women understand that they cannot do it on their own. They can't. I mean, you can try, but the best way to grow, the best way to transform, it is with other women who support women. So when you create this environment, this supportive environment, this community, this tribe that allows people to be themselves, to start to create self-awareness, to be vulnerable, because women become vulnerable very, very easily when they're in the right environment. And that's wonderful, because the vulnerability, that's when you open up and when you start to see the transformation. That's exactly what we saw. We were very good, and I'm going to say this, we were very good at choosing the people as well, because if you want to create a certain energy, right, and you want to achieve certain goals, you got to make sure that you attract the right people, the right women. So we did that from the get-go. We have a certain criteria, right, of women that we want to attract to our community, so we can create that energy. And we did it very, very well. So from the first evening, the first hour, that energy was created. It was built. It was like we had known each other forever. People were sharing. We were dancing together the first night. We were laughing. We were drinking. We were having so much fun. And then the next morning and the morning after that and the whole day, we just grew together. We shared things so intimate. We and you see that transformation. You really, truly do. And of course, we talk to everybody separately at the end. But the transformation started right then and there because we had created that energy for everybody to allow, to be open about it, to allow every woman who comes into this tribe to be herself, to understand that she's in a safe place, in a supportive place, in a fun place, in a loving place. So we did that very well. We continue to do that because I think that was the key to our success. It wasn't just Miriam and I and what we brought to the table and the organization of everything, but really it was the women that we were able to put together and to bring together, and the energy that we created and that safe space that we created for everybody to be themselves. And so You Only Better 2.0 now in Canada is going to do exactly that, because we've already added more women who are going to bring that same energy, who are going to help us cultivate and grow, that community where every woman is safe. And I want to address something that Miriam said, that yes, we're busy. We're all busy. I get it, especially as moms. We're at different stages. But you know what? There is a saying, and I'm sorry, sometimes women take offense about this saying, and because men say it all the time: happy wife, happy life. And that is exactly what it is, because we set the tone. If we're not happy, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we cannot take care of anyone in our family. And we are not happy, chances are that people are not going to be happy. So this is why women, no, but it's true. And I think this is why we have so many supportive husbands, because they understand that. Husbands, men understand that better than women do. So for all those women who are thinking, oh, it's not the right time or whatever, I always say this, Miriam, this, it will never be the right time. So that means that it's always the right time. You just have to make the decision, and the universe will open everything up for you. And your family will support you. You will become that mom that is an example to her children and to other women as well. And as Miriam said, everybody's waiting to hear your story, because we all have a story. And you don't know until you actually tell your story the impact that you have on other women and how you can change their lives. Why? Because you only share. That's it. And that's what we're doing at You Only Better. Sharing and allowing for women to become a better version of themselves. Okay. So having said that, and I do apologize, but this is very important for me, because again, I need to be happy. I need to play volleyball. So everybody around me. But Enrique, I do want to thank you. Thank you for having me here. And of course, you're left here with the most wonderful and amazing woman on earth, the best partner in the world, the best doctor, the best physician, the best everything. She's wonderful. I love you, Miriam.
Love you,
and Enrique, thank you so much.
Enjoy.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys.
I want to use what Shiri said, that is so important to mention. Actually, I wanted to keep it in my mind and make sure that I say this with you. It's super important for us to have the support of men in this project. Not only because the happy wife and happy life and happy husband, therefore, but really because men are right now in privileged positions, corporate and in life, in work, in so many levels in our lives, and they can decide to support us, or they can decide to close a door. And women, we should not be pushing doors if we have a gentleman open it for us. And I believe that Shiri and we agree on this, maybe with different, levels of how pro-woman or not we are. But the truth is that we are pro-human. Right. And humanity needs the collaboration of men and women. And while we are doing this right now for women, hopefully in the future this will be more generalized and will include men also. But we need right now men, gentlemen. If any gentleman is in front of the camera or the video right now, please, if you know a lady, your daughter, your sibling, your friend, your mentee, your colleague, your wife, your mom, doesn't matter, and you think that they deserve better, that they deserve an opportunity of achieving their dreams, of keep learning, keep growing, of feeling that they belong, of having friends and family beyond the walls of where they are. We are here. And please sponsor a woman. That's what we want. We are really looking for sponsors, but our sponsorship is kind of a bizarre sponsorship. Our sponsorship is please sponsor a woman. Please help a woman to grow. Please help a woman to achieve her dreams. Because we need each other. And again, life is a question of not competition, but collaboration. And that's exactly what we are trying to build, what we are doing, and the way that we practice in our own life, right? It's our lifestyle, if you want to call it like that. And that's why we are so grateful with you, because that's exactly what you are doing right now, right? And well, I know you for a long time, and I know how much support you provide to your own daughter, to your wife, that is such a wonderful lady and succeeding with her books and succeeding in her life. So I know that you are practicing exactly that. You are a sponsor, and you are sponsoring right now, Sherry and myself, with this. So guys, please select a woman and give them the gift. Mother's Day is coming, right? So use that as an excuse. Mother's Day.
That's right. That's right.
The best gift that you can give to someone is the gift of joy, well-being, happiness, and a tribe that will support you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I echo that that clamor, right, for men to support, right? Support, because any one of us that has a spouse understands that in the 80-20 rule, well, probably 20, right? When it comes to everything that needs to be done and relate in relation to the family. Before we get into this next segment there, I want to thank Barbara Ann for joining us over from New Jersey. I'm from the Northeast, right? Grew up in the Bronx, so thank you for joining us. And all those that are joining us across other platforms. I see on YouTube there's several, and on Facebook there are others. So thank you for joining us. Please get in the comments if you have questions or any comments that you would like to share. We love to see those, and we'll address them. Now, Miriam, we've spoken about the 360 approach. Sherry covered the three aspects of how the everything is constructed to develop and get these ladies to transformation. But I know you deal a lot with the medical side. For those of you that don't know, and I'll tell it here, and I've done this before. I've said this before. Dr. Z is my doc, right? And so when we talk about full health and the practice that she does, I'll tell you, I have never experienced, like I said, I've said this before, never experienced a medical attendant to me that was so thorough and got to the granular. I'm talking about DNA, folks, right? The DNA medical side of you. And if you don't know what that is, then please DM Dr. Z for that experience, because there has never been, nor has there been since then, an attention to my health in that caliber. And so I encourage you, if you want to know more about that, DM her, and she can definitely have that chat with you. But when we're talking about the ladies and this whole evolution and event for them on the medical side, I know that men are bad at health, right? But women would be better at health if they didn't have so much.
Yes, and I believe that the concept of having a healthy life starts with having a healthy practice, right, of your life. And before that, you need an extra step that is understanding what means healthy and understanding how you live healthy. And I don't think that in school or university they teach us, right? And we have a lot of misinformation, and we are very confused about how we could have or achieve healthy lifestyles and cultivate a healthy life. And even as a physician, I was trained to cure or treat diseases. After practicing for around 30 years, I understand clearly that yes, treatment is a big part of medicine, but the most important part of medicine is prevention. And that's where we need to really focus. And prevention comes with education. And that takes me back to the word that I like to use, empowerment. So for me, it's very important to educate the women that are working with us so they understand that their body is the responsibility, that they are accountable, that yes, the doctor has an obligation, the healthcare system has an obligation, but the obligation starts with themselves, with what they eat, the way that they live, how much they sleep, how much they take care of themselves, how much they are responsible and they make the appointment with the doctor, right? So there is an initial aspect of what is my role in my health. The second aspect is to understand, and you were talking about DNA, right? And it's so interesting because for those that don't know the updates in genetics, before we thought that we come with this blueprint, and if you have this code, you are done. That's the only thing that you can do with that. And yes, maybe we cannot change the color of our eyes or our height, but we can change many things that come in our codes, in our genetic code, and that's called epigenetics. We have certain characteristics related to diseases that are sleeping in our body. They are there, waiting for someone to knock the door and say, wake up. So not sleeping, being under stress, not eating well, smoking, driving your car too fast, right, and having an accident or whatever it is, could actually change the trajectory of your life in a way that is not related to your genetics, but also in a way that could be related to your genetics. And when that knock, wake up, that gene that could activate obesity or cancer or any other conditions will be now there, acting out and affecting your life. So understanding that we have the power, we are not victims of our DNA. We cannot blame our parents for everything that happens to us. There is a responsibility, and understand what is that responsibility and what's the margin that we have. What are the things that we can do to have a better life? I believe that is so important. We know about the blue zones, talking about blue zones, these areas where people live more than 100 years and they have wonderful life. What are they doing? Learning about things like that, empower women, empower people to take care of themselves better. And of course, there is the individual aspect that each of these women may have. But if we don't start with prevention, appropriate lifestyles, and understanding who we are, how we feel, empowering ourselves and removing ourselves from the victim situation, or blaming others for what happened to us or our bodies, and starting being responsible, there is not a lot of opportunity for the future. And the time is now, right? Because when you are already sick, that comes the doctor to treat you. That's kind of relatively, in some cases, relatively late. Why not to build a life that will bring us quality instead of slowly and in silence activating these silent murders, right, that live inside of us, when we can really calm them down and sing for them so they continue sleeping in the rest of our life. So that's a big part of what we do in the retreat, to educate and empower. And the other aspect of health, and you know that I love this, is mental health, right? And you mentioned burnout at the beginning. Burnout is another pandemic. We have 65% at least of individuals with burnout. When you talk about parents, for those mothers and fathers that are around, this could go as high as 70-75%, especially if you have kids that have any medical condition, or they are neurodiverse, any kid with ADHD, or that are in the spectrum, that now we see very common. So your mental health, not being depressed, not being burnout, being able to sleep appropriately, being able to take decisions appropriately, because if you are going through suffering, emotional suffer, it's very hard to take the right decisions. It's very hard to be a good father or mother. It's very hard to be a good wife or husband, and it's very hard to be a good leader, a good human in general. So mental health for me, for Shiri, is primordial, right? How we can educate these ladies to recognize the red flags when it's needed, but even more important, how we avoid to get to a position where we have red flags. How do we protect ourselves? And just to say something super fast about this, but there is one of the longest, I believe it's the longest research study in the world. They follow individuals for, right now it's around 75 years. One year after the other. They are actually located in Boston, and they compare a cohort, a group of people that was living around Harvard, living in very low income situations, and they compare the students, right? So privileged people, and they track them year after year, trying to find out what happens with them. Initially, this group was only men, now they added a woman. What is very interesting is that the only marker that was consistently associated with well-being, with happiness, with joy in life was not the car that you drive, not the house where you live, not if you went to Harvard or you were living in the poor zone next to it, or the title that you have. Do you have someone that you love, and do you have someone that loves you? So the power of love and community. And that was associated with a good quality of life, meaning health also. So if we go to the root of who we are as humans, the importance of being surrounded by the right people really is the key for having a successful life. And success, I mean, not only money and a nice car to drive, but really to be fulfilled and to be happy with who you are and what you are, the type of life that you are living.
Yeah, and that's it reminds me from the religious standpoint, if that reason drove God to create Eve, because the man looked like he must have looked like terrible, like the world was ending and it just started. But he said it's not good. It's not good for man to be alone. It's not. And so when you talk about what thing would really be a mechanism of joy and fulfillment, and it's relationship, is having that person, just like you said in the study. I was watching something about that at Harvard, and that love, when you talk about love is a powerful thing, not just for building relation, but sustaining relationship, enlarging relationships, keeping it going, keeping you going, right? And so it's very important. But folks, I tell you that my experience through the medical journey under Dr. Z was impactful, and as to her word, empowering, because knowledge allows you to, number one, understand yourself and understand you, like singular. but also that there are things that you can do, and there are some things that you shouldn't do, right? I, I was one that thought that eating a whole bowl of fruit was a great idea. And for, in general purposes, yeah, depending on the fruit. But I was concentrating on all the sweet ones, and my glucose was up the roof. And I was trying to figure out why. I'm like, how in the world can I be like close to diabetes and I'm eating fruit? I don't eat candy, this, that, and the other. It was
You refused, you denied being a sweet tooth person. That was the most interesting part of it.
Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not in the candy store. That's not what I do. And it just that there was a marker in my DNA structure that was known as the sweet tooth marker, right? That one marker that you are a seeker of the sweet, and it didn't matter. I might as well have been in the candy store because I was getting the result of it. But knowing that helped me change the fruit where I can still get the vitamins, minerals, all that other stuff without going the other way, close to diabetes. And imagine that. You think you're eating healthy and you're actually taking yourself to the doctor. So, that's the empowerment section, or the empowerment effect from the practice that Dr. Z has, and all the things that she does to get us leaders healthy. We are up on time, because I tell you that it goes by. An hour goes by fast. But Dr. Z, thank you so much for being with me. Sherry, thank you for being with us as well. I am so hopeful for this event. Folks, in September, this event is one not to miss. And if you love to travel, hey, this is another excuse for you to get on and go.
Oh my gosh, the place is spectacular, in the middle of the nature, a resort, a spa, all this extra happens. The fun and the relax and everything happens. But good friendship and love and support and knowledge and power and evidence-based practice is also part of it. And we need to nurture ourselves with this 360 approach, right? Of the nature for on side, but knowing who we are, knowing what we want, knowing how to take care of ourselves. And you were talking about love. Love starts with ourselves, because we cannot love others if we don't love ourselves.
Absolutely.
And we need to practice it. We need to, and if we don't know how to do it, it's never late. We have been always probably trying to help others and do things for others and show up for others. But at some point, we need to understand that if we don't feel our own face, we cannot give water to someone else. And we need to put our mask first and take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we've been talking about the Inside Out Women's Retreat happening in Canada, September 7th through the 9th, 2025. Don't miss it. You are guaranteed clarity, renewal, and personal transformation in an inspiring environment. Sherry, Dr. Z, thank you for putting this on and for doing this for women. I am excited as to when the men get together, and I'm sure to be supporting that as well. Folks, thank you for joining us, all of you that have been with us tonight. I appreciate you being with us and your comments and your support. We will see each other on our next live. Have a good night.
Take care. Muchas